let this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. Get your lick back. If a nigga owe you something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your dishes splat. Stop letting this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. I feel like I'm JX.
J-Way.
I'm a perfectionist. Adderall got me restless.
I'm gone.
Run with a wild crew, they get reckless. Young boy, come up off that neck.
Give me that.
To the trends. See a lead, be the band.
Oh, shoot. Good. Morning. And welcome to another episode of Corner to Copa. I'm here with my co-host, Coach. This is the post-trade deadline, early post-trade deadline reaction. And, how you feeling today, Coach?
Well, we've had quite the interesting ride after Thursday. I feel like the Arizona series feels like a mile away at this point, considering how much the landscape across the league changed at the trade deadline. I think the final tally was 64 total trades by the end of this year's deadline, which I know we were talking, Thursday live. I can't remember in my lifetime a trade deadline that was that crazy. Not necessarily just the day of, but 2, 3, 5 days, a week out beforehand, things were starting to fly. So very interesting to see. Teams are really going for it this year, man. So now we just kind of buckle in, put the lat bar down, and put your trade table in the upright position and buckle up.
Absolutely. And the Tigers are currently 65-47. We have an 8-game lead on Cleveland, which is even fallen a little bit further down from the 9, I think, on Thursday. But yeah, we're 5-5 in our last 10 games. We had a clean sweep of Arizona, a lot of some good outings from Paddock and Troy Melton. A lot of power. We had 3 I think on Tuesday we had 3 home runs in the 5th inning. And we split with Philly so far, which we're going to talk about in more detail in a little bit. But Kerry Carpenter has had a good week. Wensil Perez has had an amazing week. Dingler has bounced back really, really well after struggling for a little bit. And the Phillies series was a very fitting series to see where we were at as far as just matching up with the other World Series candidates. Game 1 was a very winnable game. In both games that we've played, we started off in the driver's seat leading, and we had some bullpen issues. Jack Flaherty had a good outing overall. He had a walk, I think, in his first at bat of his final inning, and it just kind of snowballed from there. And then Skubal had a good outing, got into some trouble. I think he gave up 3 runs in his last inning, and eventually we were able to come out with the win, but not without our the older additions to our bullpen having some issues, a la Will Vest, Tyler Holton. But what are your feelings so far as the series as a whole through the first 2 games?
We've got Friday we kind of had some power from some unusual suspects a little bit, but like you said, Kerry and Dingler continue to heat up as we come near the end of the summer here. But the first night it looked like the battle of the 2 new bullpens, like you said, were going at it, and Detroit's got roughed up a bit, and Will Vest couldn't hold it down. It kind of, like you said, fell apart quickly. Next thing you know, we went from Skubal to Holton to Will Vest, what felt like within 10 minutes, So, that's what you expect from a team of that caliber. Guys on that team who have won World Series before, played in multiple playoffs. They have the pedigree, for deep runs in October. So it's the names you want to see out there in a potential national matchup like that. Defense has been a little shaky other than Green's fantastic mile-long journey to catch that foul ball. And I didn't even realize he shaved his mustache. I'm assuming he wore it Friday and they lost and then shaved it. I'm taking a guess right there, but
Yeah. On the road, just said up the
Yep.
razor and got it.
Yeah, the caterpillar probably wasn't going to get much love in the city of brotherly love, so it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, two really close games. Scoobel kind of unraveling quickly there, but they were able to bounce back. Javi with that double down the line was big. They're getting some more consistent offense this week, which is good to see because Lord knows if that bullpen can't hold it together, if we can't get to the back end right now, we can't seemingly in the last few games. If we can't get to that ninth inning sooner, then we're going to need reducing, 5, 6, 7 runs a game in order to kind of offset that. But hey, 1-1 against Phillies right now, rubber match, and dear Lord, we have old man Jurassic era pitcher Charlie Morton on the mound tonight.
Yeah, and just to kind of round up the Philly series so far. Like you said, Javi Baez had a major. He's been just super duper clutch all year long. He had a 2-run home run before we even got to that double down the third baseline, but he continues to be big in high leverage situations. Gleyber Torres, the power has kind of came out of nowhere. It was funny because I'm watching the game with my girl, and I'm like, okay, there's 2 runners on for Gleyber Torres. Here comes the opposite field, slap single or whatever. And then the next pitch, he pulls a home run, a 3-run home run. And of course, her not knowing what opposite field means, when he hits the home run, she's like, is that what you predicted? I'm like, no, he doesn't really pull with a lot of power this year, but that's how it ended up happening, which was one of our few. I think we only scored 4 runs, so that 3-run home run accounted for nearly all the runs we had. But if we can see more power from Gleyber, we know that in the past has been something that he could do. Playing as a Yankee, hit 40 home runs, but if that's something that is a glimpse of what we'll see down the stretch, that'll be major for us. But outside of that, it was good to see Finnegan. The one thing that was disheartening about the first, that first game after the trade deadline is that we saw the bullpen collapse, and we didn't see any of our new additions. We didn't see Montero. We didn't see Finnegan. So that was kind of disheartening. We kind of got some things. We kind of got, the Phillies acquisition thrown in our face because Duran came in and closed out the game on Friday. So, we got to see everybody play with their brand new toys in the bullpen, and we didn't utilize any of ours. We went with Holton and Vest and Hannafy. So yeah, that was, disheartening. Like I said, we could have won that game on Friday, but it was nice to see Finnegan, get in the game, clean up the mess that Will Vest kind of, put in front of him with inducing the ground ball to Castellanos, which is what we knew what Finnegan could bring to the table. He can paint the outside corner with that 97-mile-per-hour fastball, but he can also create some ground ball. So, and that's exactly what he did in the on Saturday. He did strike out a couple guys, but he did get the ground balls when need be. And this is a observation from Chris Brown, one of the affiliates of Motor City Metrics, which is where Bleachers to Speakers, that was our origin. Before we got our own YouTube channel, we were with Motor City Metrics, but he noticed that we switched up his pitch usage a little bit. Previously, he was throwing his fastball a lot more and then complementing it with the splitter. But in his first outing with Detroit, he kind of pretty even distribution, almost 33, 33, 33, with him utilizing the splitter a little bit more, and then also the slider as well. So that may be the first kind of effect of the Fetter, Lund, and Nieves, pitching lab being incorporated with Finnegan. But ultimately, he was able to close out the game on Saturday, just to give just a little bit of encouragement to what we've seen, because this is what the bullpen has looked like over the past month. Let's pull this up. This is what it's been. It's been a dumpster fire. For those watching the graphics, this is what it's looked like for the bullpen. So good to see Finnegan, and I'm sure we'll see the other guys real soon. But yeah, any other thoughts about the first two games of the Philly series before we get into our first break?
Not really. Just would like to see a little bit more out of Torque. I know we had highlighted Green's struggles, and he's kind of had some hits in the last couple games. But Torque so far in his last 4 games, I think he's 2 for 17 with 6 strikeouts. I don't really know how we can continue to produce with everyone else. Like, it's great. The contribution has to happen because both those guys being cold at the same time in the middle lineup usually is a recipe for, inefficiency. So look for Torque to have a bounce back today now that, they faced a couple tougher pitchers already in this series, night game on the road. Aside from that, I haven't really seen too many issues with Veerling. Looks like he's been playing more center with Parker out. Javi's kind of getting some play out there a little bit, but mostly Manning short. So I haven't really seen any issues with him. So, and yeah, like you said, it's been a smattering, guys. Immediately, Ibanez, after he called up, first 3-4 games, just on fire. Gleiber, power. Oppo too, a couple Oppo home runs in the last week or so. Kerry Carpenter returned, not the first game, but yeah, dingers the next 2 games, and he's just been on fire. Reminiscent of last year, shall we say? Another 25 home runs on deck. Who knows? We'll see. Aside from that, these guys are clawing. They're kind of back to where they were a few weeks ago, just prior to the Seattle series heading into the All-Star break. Yeah, short and sweet of it, bullpen's got to get it together. Right now, that seems to be the only thing that's kind of not clicking.
All right, let's get to the first break, and then we're going to talk roster moves. We kind of touched on it a little bit with the after the trade deadline, but do your best to piece through all the roster moves that we've had.
Yeah, so going back prior to the trade deadline day, some older news from the beginning of the week or heading into the week last week. Parker went on the 10-day IL with a quad strain. Reese Olson done for the year with a shoulder strain, which when we talked, it didn't even look like he was laboring or really in any pain or discomfort. He just ran into that bad last inning that he got pulled from, and we had no idea. So that was obviously it's shocking news. I don't want to say if it's devastating, but like the kid again on the heels of having a good year, and then all of a sudden just has a yank from underneath him. So 2 years in a row now that Reese Olson's had some large chunks of season missing. Something to note long term going into the next season. Aside from that, they agreed to a minor league deal the same day with shortstop Meridian LeFou. Don't really know anything about that guy. And also that was the same day they were called Ibanez and Kreidler. Kreidler was just an emergency backup, wasn't actually going to play due to all the moving of personnel coming in and out being DFA'd. It allowed for them to bring up another emergency fielder in the interim until their players they traded for came into the clubhouse ready to go. Cobb on the 29th went back to West Michigan for a rehab assignment. He can just stay there. That's fine. They activated Chris Paddock that day, and then demoted Kreidler, DFA'd Jeff Hatley, the right-hand reliever. And then on August 1st, obviously, they activated Rafael Montero, demoted Chase Lee, who had a little bit more recent outings of struggle. But for the most part, I felt like he was okay, serviceable. Not a guy you're going to go to, 2 out of 3 games every series. But I think there's a potential role for him in this bullpen heading into next year too, depending on what they do with the guys that they just got this year's deadline. But I would expect him to be back up, after the +1 roster change in September. And with that, also they released right-hand reliever Tyler Owens, in addition to all the other trades of the players coming in. The only one I did mention was the minor leaguer they did get in the trade. They assigned to Toledo is the only guy in the trade deadline that is not with the parent club.
All right, and let's jump right into the minor league report. Max Clark is currently on a 7-game hit streak at this current juncture. He had a triple and a double on Thursday. One point of note: Josue Briseño was actually a player that the Pittsburgh Pirates had their eyes on, and Scott Harris elected to hold on to him. And although he's had a slow start to his debut in Erie, he did hit 2 home runs on Friday. So with the deadline being on Thursday, that immediately aged pretty well for Mr. Harris. So we'll keep an eye on how Briseño does. Jake Myers, the other first baseman in Double-A, went 3 for 4 with a home run on Thursday. Justin Henry Malloy continues to mash. He went 3 for 3 on Thursday. And Kevin McGonigal hit a 3-run home run yesterday on Saturday. Kevin Hartley had a save this week. That's one of the new additions to our team in AAA. And a name to look out for that I don't think a lot of us have heard a lot about, but he's quietly 11-2 in Erie right now. Garrett Burhan. He's 11-2 with a 3.55 ERA and a 1.16 WHIP. I did a little bit of research on him, and he's our 24th ranked prospect by the minor league report. That's once again an affiliate of Motor City Metrics, and pretty much the issue with him has been his splits against left-handed pitchers. He does very well against left-handed hitters. He does very well against righties. He's got an opponent batting average under 200, but the lefties hit him pretty good. So just a guy to keep an eye on. 11-2 record in Double-A, not too shabby. He's only 25 years old, so not too much of a journeyman as of yet. And the last note to talk about, Jose Urquidy, which is a guy that we I think he was on the 60-day, was put on the 60-day IL when we acquired him in the spring, is officially been added to the Flying Tigers Lakeland roster. So he's going to be starting his rehab stint. This is a player that I believe played with AJ Hinch in the Houston program. So he's going to be, building up some innings, and we'll see what we have down the line as we get closer to September. But yeah, that's the minor league report. And Coach, I want to paint a picture for you, and I just want to know what your feelings would be. Let's pretend that we started out the post-trade deadline in Miami. We lost on Friday and Saturday. We got shut out on Saturday, and all of our bullpen guys that we acquired, had bad outings to set it off. How would the show have gone? How would the show have started on Sunday if that was our scenario? 0 for 2, shut out on Saturday by Miami, and the bullpen crashes and burns.
I mean, if you're a playoff team or vying for a wild card spot, that is certainly concerning, to say the least, especially if you've put that kind of resources into your bullpen. But I kind of have a feeling who this might be.
Yeah. So that was obviously. Right. Yeah. So this is obviously not talking about the Tigers. This is a scenario painted for the New York Yankee faithful who went out and got Jake Bird from the Rockies. They got Mike Bednar, and then the guy from San Francisco. What's his name? Doval.
Camilo Doval.
Yeah, Doval. Yes. So yeah, that's we'll obviously see how things progress from here, but I'm sure the Yankee faithful, some of them are already trying to jump off a bridge because, you know, how does that happen? How do you get now? Granted, Miami is a pesky team. They played better as of late, but it can't feel good to start the weekend off like that. So it as rough as things looked on Friday, at least the Tigers don't have to look at that so far. We got Mile Marker in the building. He said, "Hi guys, listening but can't chat. Always good stream. Appreciate you, Mr. Mile Marker 301." But Coach, as we get down the stretch, you know, what are the things, and you've kind of talked about it a little bit, but what are the things that you want to see from the Tigers as we can continue to contend down the stretch?
Well, we've already seen, even though it was kind of bookended around the deadline, after last weekend heading into the Arizona series, we've seen the offense kind of really perk up. You know, I don't know if it's that midseason carry magic, you know, that he seems to have now for 2 years in a row, but you know, it's hard to say it's just a coincidence at this point. But they're gonna need their guys that are, you know, not just your 2 through 6 or 5 guys. They're gonna need their 6, 7, 8, 9 guys to continue to help roll the lineup over to the top with, you know, guys on traffic and creating a little chaos for the core of the lineup there. But aside from that, you know, Flaherty's looked great his last 2 starts. I mean, we needed to see that. And I think the more important thing in his last start of those 2 that we saw, his efficiency was much better. He got deeper. I know I questioned why he was sent back out there already at 89, 90 pitches. And then that kind of unraveled some things in that start and left him, I believe, with a no decision. But good to see from him, because we need these guys to go 6 innings minimum. I mean, honestly, that's really what it has to come down to, unless it's a, you know, opener type day. If we do Montero or something like that, then obviously that kind of, you know, that's an exception. But you know, we need to save the bullpen an extra inning if we can, because they're hurting right now, and we need to keep going deep. Quality starts. You need some quality starts, and let's go from there. Be in a position. It's all we can ask for. So, couple key guys that are slumping, but that's kind of the run of the mill for the year, you know, the valleys. But bullpen for me, I think it's first and foremost. Offense seems to be in a good spot right now.
All right. And before we get into the things that I want to see moving forward, we're going to take a break. So catch us on the other side of that. All right. So there's 2 major things that I think that are going to be key to the Tigers down the stretch. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but obviously finding some stability in the bullpen. Right now, you got Will Vest, who has been, you know, pretty ineffective. Canley, you just don't know what you're going to get when he comes out. And then obviously Hannafy was just sent down. His numbers weren't horrible, but they just weren't going to get the job done. So we'll see what we can get out of the new guys. Troy Melton is now should hopefully provide some stability to the long relief. Obviously, he gets pushed out due to Charlie Morton. So Melton bounced back really well after having a rough outing against Pittsburgh, with a strong one against Arizona that we got a chance to witness in person. So we'll get a chance hopefully pretty soon to see what he can do as far as long relief is concerned. The other thing that's going to be important is our right-handed hitters that are left-handed pitcher specialists. So right now we got guys like Ibanez, who was amazing out. We saw him hit a home run in his. I think he had a couple hits in that first game back, but he's been good on his return. But he's a guy that kind of sits in the middle of our lineup, which looks kind of crazy. But we need guys like him, and also Jahmai Jones, who had a important broke up a double a double play that extended an inning that he ended up scoring in. So, Jahmai Jones, is he going to continue to be a factor down the line? Who knows? Even Javi Baez, he's mashed left-handed pitching. I think his average is 333. And then also McKinstry. McKinstry is, I want to say his average is around 333 with a 900 plus OPS against lefties. If we can continue to get production out of these guys going up against left-handed pitchers, that's gonna be major, for our offense. But yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, we'll see how things go. Can we continue to lean on Jahmai Jones and Ibanez down the stretch is going to be the big question, because we're going to face some big boppers once we get into the playoffs. So if we can continue to get production from them, I don't think we should have to worry too much about guys like Gleyber Torres and some of those guys that play every day. The hopes is that they'll continue to hold up their end of the bargain. But one thing let's talk about any around the league. Any news to talk about as far as everybody else who has added to their team at the deadline? Any observations that you've seen?
Not really too far yet. Eugenio's had a couple of hits so far with Seattle. I think a lot of the big news tied to the trade pieces were mostly the arms. And so far, for the most part, other than Duran's save Friday night, a lot of the bullpen arms have not made a great impression the first couple of days in their new team so far. So, the bulk of the trade market was arms for sure. We did not see very many position players of even moderate noteworthiness get moved. Aside from Eugenio obviously being the biggest name by far, given his production line so far. Guys like Nolan Arenado wasn't moved. A couple other players were in the discussion, fell apart, didn't happen. That's pretty much been it for that. But I think the one weird thing too, after the heels of being, swept and spanked out of Pittsburgh, they went to Colorado, had a 9-0 lead in the first inning, and Colorado came back to win like 17-16 in 9 innings. So, we could be in a much worse spot considering that. So, would not want to be a Pirate or a Rocky fan, unfortunately, at that juncture right now. But we've got some early way out there countdown and magic numbers already. So right now, 42 games left for the AL Central Championship. So we're definitely counting down right now. It's going to be an interesting wild card hunt too, with a lot of AL East teams in it. Toronto, obviously, with us right now, tied for the best record in the American League. So yeah, man, it's going to be crazy here, So just looking for a good game tonight. Just don't get blown out. Be competitive. That's all I can ask for. I know on Thursday we said just don't get swept. Well, check that box. Now you can go for the series win potentially. And if they do win it with Charlie Morton, Philly's got to be sitting there like, what the hell happened here? We just had Wheeler. That was a duel yesterday. Fantastic pitchers duel by both guys. Home run aside. 20 strikeouts combined for each. That's nuts. So that's good to see that we went toe-to-toe with one of the other potential NL's World Series contenders, best arms and Cy Young candidate, and came away out on top.
Yeah, and a couple of pitchers duels, even with Ranger Suarez. You take away that 3-run home run, and he had a pretty good performance as well. But to your point about the bullpen arms and getting off to a slow start, we do know that is a very volatile, position to be in, and to have to, jump on a plane and be in a new, a new environment and high leverage situations that can't be easy for them. So I'm sure, we'll see some leveling down to, some of the rough, starts to, rough starts that they've had. But as far as the around the league, Seattle, I've been paying pretty close attention all year, but that lineup is stacked and they're, already falling. Things are already falling into place for them. They had a walk-off hit by J.P. Crawford on Friday. And, we know with the veterans as far as Suarez and Arozarena and Raleigh and all those guys, but they've also got some pretty good young guys as well that kind of round out the lineup. So they're going to be dangerous with all those, with all the pitching that that we know they already have. But yeah, guys like Dominic Canzoni and Cole Young, who's a rookie that's already hit some bombs so far. It's only going to make things, more dangerous for them as they make a push in the American League West. But yeah, so Scott Harris, he been very adamant about holding on to his prospects and not wanting to make any hasty moves that will regret down the line. But I thought it was interesting that he talked about we have some good young players that we might even see in the this year that piqued my interest. I mean, it could have people might view it as he's just speaking in general, but are there any guys that you could see being making that move into our lineup in the September call-ups when they expand the rosters to 2 spots?
Yeah, I mean, if the bullpen continues to leak, I jokingly said it in our group text last week. That viral hard knuckleball thrower that got promoted to Erie, I think could be one of the last internal gasp call-ups to try and provide some stability. I mean, they're burning through so many bullpen guys in the last 2 years. I would need more probably than 2 hands to count how many guys have made their Tiger debut out of the pen in the last 2 years. It's been astronomical. But yeah, I mean, I hate to say it in a bad way, but like everywhere else, we're pretty fine at, like we really don't need Sweeney for anything at all. I don't really, and look, I'll say this about the comments and that particular one. It's just smoke and mirrors, in my opinion. We're calling up guys because we have to, between injuries and guys just shitting the bed outright. So it's not like someone's just absolutely tearing it up in Double-A over the last 2.5 months. A starter who's gone like 5-1 with a 2.9 and a 1 WHIP. You know what I mean? Just great stuff and good command that it's worth taking a peek at. These are guys coming up because we were running out of bodies, and apparently the Kmart blue light special aisle is out of stock for Scott Harris. So yeah, we have gone bargain hunting in the bullpen, and this is kind of what we're the fruit of the seed that was sown. So yeah, that's really it. Honestly, anything else would have to be an injury, because Parker's on the IL. People want him to go down. But I don't really see anything else major other than something else happening to someone as a result of that move being made.
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw a hot take out there. I mean, I'm going to start it, preluded with, the purpose behind it. But when you look at the Tigers, the power is there. We see guys, we're seeing contributions all over the map between, even on the high end, your Riley Greens, your Torkelsons, your Kerry Carpenters, but even the Javis, just a number of different guys. What we've struggled with is piecing together, having more bat to ball, the more bat to ball skills and hitting for contact. We got guys that strike out a lot. We have the 5th most strikeouts amongst all teams. The power has been there, but it's been at the result of a lot more strikeouts. So we saw the spark that we got from when we DFA'd Gio Urshela, Javi sat down and Sweeney came in there, Jace Young, and And we might need another one of those sparks, especially if they can contribute in a way that we don't really have. So I don't think it's the most crazy thing in the world to see a McGonagall or a Clark jump up there just because they're going to contribute things that we don't already have. Clark can definitely bring you some speed. I think that if you don't see Meadows bounce back later on in the year, that opens up an opportunity. Maybe you just throw Meadows on the IL and open up another 40-man slot. Because yeah, I mean, there's definitely a void there. Obviously, Wenceel Perez has come up and has been a pretty good contact hitter for us. He's also hit a home run. He hit a home run against Philly in this series, but yeah, that would be under the exciting young player that we want to hold on to. I think that they could definitely give us a spark, but that it very well could be very well could be smoke and mirrors at this point. Let's see what Troy has to say. He said, if we wanted the Mason Miller, we would have had to give up Clark. I would have done it personally. Miller gives us best chance during our Scooble window, but I get not doing that type of deal. Yeah, I mean, Harris said he doesn't believe in the window, and it's his job to get us to the playoffs every year, which kind of gives himself away because it's like, okay, so you're not aiming for a championship. You just want to be good enough to make the and if only the audio listeners could see the reaction on Coach. Coach, go ahead.
This dude's been taking ayahuasca with Aaron Rodgers lately. I feel like I watched or listened to the same comments the Seattle Mariners owner made the other year, who openly admitted, I'm not trying to win a World Series here. I just want to be competitive and make the playoffs. Okay, that's fair and up front. And guess what? He did the opposite this year. He bought in for a guy they did not want to pay an extension for. Remember? He came from Seattle before Arizona. Right. And didn't want to extend him. Guess what? Now they get him for a dime to the dollar that Arizona did shell out for him. And I'll say this, though, Arizona made the World Series last year, so they got something out of it. It wasn't all, but they got more than most would. So they kind of finessed the system a little bit and did not really spend. Sure, they might have given them some prospects. Like you said, though, they got pitching, they got hitting. They're top to bottom pretty solid. But those comments, I saw that, and I'm like, so either you're admitting that Ilitch is handcuffing you by telling you, okay, here's what I'm willing to spend. You ain't going over here. I don't care what it is. Not happening. Either that, or this guy Scott Harris is taking acid every weekend, because I couldn't believe those comments. I'm thinking, okay, well, Scooble's gone. You're going to butcher this just like they did with Rodriguez, the pitcher, the other year. I think it was his first year. Didn't trade him at the deadline, blocked every trade, and then we walked. We got nothing out of it. So, yeah, I'm trying to separate my two modes of feelings here, like Harris, Scooble, off season here, and then this season right now on the left. But yeah, he can Scott, just enjoy the rest of the season. You don't have to say anything unless there's an extension to be named, like Riley or Scooble. But, dude, my man.
Yeah, I think left that part of it out. And I think he was trying to make a point as to why, you don't mortgage the future with hot buzz deals. But it kind of gave out the message that we're not trying to win the World Series. We're trying to just remain status quo. But he like you said, I was thinking around the same lines. He echoes the sentiments that the Seattle Mariners front office had, and he chose to buy. So maybe there's a plan there, maybe not. Let's get to the last break, and then we're going to talk the upcoming games and probable starters. right, who we got coming up?
All right. So Monday, we return back to the friendly confines of Comerica Park for the first time this month. Casey Mize is tentatively scheduled Monday against the Twins, TBD, given their trade carousel as well. Tuesday will be Paddock against Matthews and the matinee, Flaherty against Ryan. And with the day off Thursday, the Anaheim Angels of Los Angeles come to town for the weekend. Skubal pitching Friday night against former Cub Hendricks. Saturday will be Charlie Morton against, I cannot pronounce that last name, Kochanowicz. And then Sunday will be Casey Mize against the acquisition from last year to Texas from Toronto, Kikuchi. I'm hoping I said that right. And then tentatively sneak peek the following week quickly as we head into August 11th for that week. We are a 2-game divisional road series with 3 against Chicago and then a 4-game set in Minnesota. So we will have a lot of divisional opponents along the way here, pretty much an even mix here. So every other series should be division, non-division down the stretch.
All right, and as we look forward to the week, hold on, let's see, we got a comment in the building. It's 100% on. Troy says 100% on Illich. If Harris knows he can spend in future, he will be willing to give up prospects because we don't spend nothing. We are fully reliant on prospects and service time. We are a budget team. Ugh, that sounds so disgusting.
Yeah,
but
I know.
True. But yeah, just go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Nah, it's reality of it. I'm not totally accepting of it. I'm dealing with it, but I'm not totally accepting it just yet.
Yeah. But yeah, just as far as what I'm looking forward to, I'm looking forward to seeing Rafael Montero make his debut, seeing what Charlie Morton can do, and seeing if Chris Paddock and Troy Melton can continue a consistent, track of success that they had last week. I'm also looking for Green and Torque to get back on track. They both had pretty rough weeks. Obviously the other complimentary guys, it's nice to see, them step up, like your Ibanez, your Dinglers, but you can't even Perez, but you can't, depend on that. So normally after a bad week from either Green or Torque, they don't have extended long, periods of misfortune. So hopefully, maybe we'll see them break out of that little slump tonight. Yeah. Anything else that you're looking forward to this week?
This is kind of a week where they can kind of really kind of gain some ground elsewhere around the league, not just so much in the division. Sure, it would coincide to padding the division, but now it's kind of a time where teams like us in good positions, very good positions, start to kind of look around and see now that the dust has settled. We're now 3 days plus after the deadline. Now we're going to team watch a little bit. We're going to see some of these guys are producing, how the teams are gelling together. Because like every year, there's going to be a team or two that just, skyrockets to the top. And with that, usually there's going to be a team or two that's right in the hunt somewhere in the middle. And then all of a sudden just, the wheels fall off. So you just hope you're on the right side of that. Or in this case, you know what? Hell, if we went 500 the rest of the way, I'm fine with that. Yeah, we're still going to be 18 games over 500. That's still pretty damn good year, and 90 some wins. So, that's 500. I think that's very manageable. A lot of divisional games. I gotta say right now too. I got a third guy on the list. I'm giving an extension to at the end of the year, and that's Dingler. You can get him now, and you're getting a good value like you did for Colt coming out of high school. Look, this guy he might not hit you 30, 35 home runs, although he certainly has line-to-line power. This dude, in terms of calling games behind the plate and defensive ability, guy's quickly becoming a top 3 defensive catcher.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, he's kind of in his prime right now? Because I want to say he's how old is he?
I think he's 25 or 26 at the oldest, at the very oldest.
He is. I know his birthday's in
26.
September.
26. So yeah, he
Let me see.
turns
He turned
September. Yeah,
27.
6 days after you.
Yeah. So yeah, this is definitely the time to do it while he's in his prime. I think we can get him for a pretty reasonable amount because he's going to be even if we do have some catchers, they're not, neither one of them are to the level of him as far as defensively. I think that it's a prime time to maximize him during his prime before the Briseños and Lorenzo's are ready to come in and be catcher number two. So he's bounced back from a little bit of a slump, but he's maintained his average throughout the entire year. The power has kind of come and gone, but he's continued to be a solid contact hitter. So yeah, and we'll see about Torres, especially the second half of this year. I know that he's going to want a long-term deal for a good amount of money because this is his last opportunity to get a big bag. But man, he has been so. I think his runners and scoring, his riffs numbers are like close to 400 from what I remember. He just always, that's why I felt confident being like, all right, here comes the opposite field, single to score two, and then he, one up me with the, pulling a home run 400 feet. So, I don't know. He's been extremely efficient.
I'll assist you with those numbers. RISP 342 average with a 368 OBP, a 566 slug, and a 934 OPS. And you really want to go bonkers? Bases loaded. 5 at-bats, the bases loaded. He is 4 for 5 with 7 runs, a double, and 11 RBIs for a whopping 800 average, a 1,000 slug, and a 1,500 OPS. And that's gross. Oh, and let's just go scoring position with 2 outs. You want to talk about super crunch time? Yeah, he's hitting 366 with a 707 slug and then 1,073 OPS. So yes, when it is on the line, I think unarguably he's been the most clutch this year, even over Baez.
Yeah, if you want to, Torres, if you want to look intelligent in front of other people when you're watching the game, you can, he's a sure bet to get the job done. You can, put your money down on that. So, those are the guys that you want to extend. If you want to talk about maximizing your value over long periods of time, that's who's worth putting money on. You still got, I think, 2 more years of Baez regardless. So you figure out what you want to do there. Maybe they're not trading him. I mean, even though his value is high, and I think that you could really probably get something out of him, especially since he can play center field. He can play anywhere. When you have a great athlete, it's the main reason why people don't hesitate to sign shortstops, is because if you're athletic to play shortstop, you can play literally anywhere else on the diamond. So, high value guy, but you want guys like that have playoff experience, World Series experience, because they've been there, and the lights are never too bright for a guy like Javi. So, yeah, that pretty much wraps up the show for today. Please subscribe to us on YouTube if you want the raw and uncut live shows, and the visual side of things. You want to see our handsome mugs. That's where we're at, and Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube. But also subscribe or check us out. Just Google Corner to Copa. We come up when you so on the audio side of things. But yeah, we'll see what happens tonight as we the rubber match in Philly in front of in front of the entire world. Coach, any parting words before we get up out of here?
Yeah, just don't get blown out tonight. Not to say that's going to happen, but we got. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what I'm going to expect. I don't know what to expect out of Charlie Martin tonight. I just don't. I'm just hoping, first inning, please don't blow your foot off.
All right. No, those are the parting words before we get up out of here.
Get your lick back. If a nigga gon' do something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop letting shit slide and get your